AugMentors. I'm Julie.
And I'm Jimmy.
And we believe connected, authentic relationships are the key to growing to your potential. Today, we are using the sensational story of Silicon Valley Bank to illustrate how augmenting your mentoring skills can lead to better business outcomes and a less stressful business experience.
Julie, I cannot wait to discuss this story that's dominated all of my social conversations over the past week. Yet first, here's a brief message about one of our colleagues on the HubSpot Podcast Network.
CEO School, hosted by Sunira Medhani, brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, audio destination for business professionals. CEO School is committed to closing the gender gap and helping more women level up by sharing stories and strategies from powerful women in leadership. A recent episode I loved was The Path to 2%, your seven-figure CEO roadmap. Sunira shares effective techniques for setting goals that turn into action and shares strategies for mapping out your time and energy. As a female CEO, I absolutely loved this episode. Listen to CEO School wherever you get your podcasts. Jimmy, it's been a week. I mean, it's only Monday, but it's been a week.
For some people more than others.
SVB, man, what was that about?
I'm not sure we're the ones to give a full recap here on AugMentors, but we can give our point of view about how the power of connecting better with others and helping that advance you in growing to your potential may have provided different outcomes to this wild situation.
Yes, that is all true. But as I'm thinking about outcomes, I'm thinking about wild situations. We have to talk about your hair. What is happening? How did this happen? Did Fiona do your hair this morning? Did you do your hair this morning?
No, I wish. Let's say this is my attempt at, the hockey stick growth that the new entity covering SVB's assets will want to look forward to. Well,
you are the only person I know who creates your hairstyle in a growth curve. So that is hilarious. Were you thinking of that this morning?
No. I think just, hair clips and Mondays and things get weird.
It's impressive physics. But anyways, we're not here to talk about your hair. We are here to talk about what happened. Silicon Valley Bank. Lots going on overall.
Quick recap. So if you're still listening, you're going to hear about 3 different aspects of the Silicon Valley rise into our attentions from last Wednesday, which would be March 8th through today, March 13th. Today, we are not the people who are going to go through all the ins and outs because this is not a business podcast. You are here to listen to the AugMentors take on how, if you truly connect with others and allow those connections to help you grow to your potential, there may have been a way for the leaders of Silicon Valley Bank to find a different outcome. So we're going to look at 3 points over the last month that we've identified as inflection points that could have significantly changed the outcome of this situation. So first, we're going to talk about what happened in late February when some of the key shareholders removed millions and millions of dollars from the bank. 2, we're going to talk about on Wednesday, March 8th, when the cash crunch occurred. And lastly, we're going to talk about today, Monday, March 13th, when the depositors were all made whole. Julie, hold on to your seat. I mean, wow.
And to be honest, this is just a real, we're a leadership podcast, right? And we're here to help train leaders to be able to connect more authentically with others and grow to their potential to be better leaders. So I love that this was such a perfect high profile example of looking at how a leader handled the situation and where there are opportunities to have done things differently and what that might have looked like and how, you can trust others and work together. So let's rewind back to late February.
In late February, it seemed that multiple of the C-suite removed funds from the bank, the largest one being the CEO, Mr. Becker, who took well over $3 million out. Now, people will say some of that was because it was timed up with stock bonuses, and this is all fairly normal. But still, it's a big deal, I think, when a CEO is taking out significant funds from the bank. The CEO is in a unique position of power, like any organization, because that power is your gravitational pull for information. So when you start moving and acting where others cannot understand your actions, it becomes opaque. and opacity produces anxiety.
And opacity is a terrible way to connect with other people because you are not showcasing what's really going on. You're not your true self. You're not being honest. And he, at that moment, really didn't connect with the key stakeholders, for everyone from the board to the employees, key customers, other investors, and started to really sort of, retreat and be doing things in secret, which, as we all know, is a terrible way to be a good leader. And if he hadn't done that.
Yeah, I mean, what an opportunity to just communicate with, whether it's the board or employees or key customers, have some conversations. What if even a $10,000 donation to a local, park or organization in Silicon Valley regionally as just a way to kind of pay back what was occurring and to start changing or shaping the narrative as you'd like, as somebody with not just the power of information, but also the power of funds.
And I think the thing is, the CEO in this kind of role is actually really a role model, right? This bank isn't, there's a lot of spokes in the Silicon Valley wheel, from startups to VCs. So him actually taking the action of acting with integrity and showing up as a connected leader would help him grow to his potential, but also other leaders to be able to see how you, get ahead of something and be honest. So he had the opportunity to show up as kind of a role model, but didn't. Womp womp. Not good.
Womp womp for real. What an opportunity to be a true leader in your industry, to your peers of other CEOs, to just talk about what's happening, like be open about it. If you didn't earn the $3.8 million, then maybe you shouldn't be taking it. But if you earned it, you should be prepared to talk about it.
Totally. So what happens between that point, end of February, to last Wednesday when the news broke? I didn't even know what SVB stood for until about noon on Wednesday.
Well, SVB or OPP, you know me, other people's property, personal property, in this case, going out the door. There could have been a lot of factors. There are rumors that maybe there were 10 or 12 venture capitalists that wanted to make a run at the bank and told a whole bunch of their portfolio companies to each pull out a handful of $1 million. So maybe on average $3 million in cash removed by 50 different companies. You wouldn't think that's enough cash to start becoming a problem for a bank with over 200 billion in assets, but cash crunches are real, and there's definitely some opaque power out there, especially at a bank like this, that could have been looking to take down potentially leaders of the bank in particular, if not cause problems, maybe competitive advantages to other companies. There's also some rumors out there that maybe consolidation was trying to be encouraged by the big players in the banking industry, as there already is pretty significant consolidation, where about 40% of all banking assets are held by just the 6 largest banks in the USA. The overall banking sector is about $23 trillion. But 40% of that value is held by 4,476 banks. But 6 banks hold 60%, almost 15.
Whoa. I did not know that. That's a little terrifying.
That's our, our worst MBA in Boston right here, coming through in very short market research. But yeah, it's amazing that consolidation that's already exists. So taking out Silicon Valley Bank, which is one of the highest profile banks in the US, but still only number 16th in total size, though bigger than USAA, a bank that I would say probably has much larger marketing budget, given it has the military connection to the Air Force and some of the best ratings, customer service ratings. But regardless of all the reasons for why, what happened on Wednesday, March 8th, was a cash crunch occurred. A whole lot of companies went to the bank and asked for their cash. And simply put, the bank did not have the cash to give them. And that's often happens because banks will then reinvest the deposits to make money on the float, on the interest. The bank doesn't just keep the money under a pillow. The bank puts that money into a new investment and then gets paid back. Of course, here they invested long, meaning longer than 3 or 12 months. And the companies, their customers, wanted their money short. In this case, now. And that's bad. So the bank didn't have enough money. What do? What happens when you're out of cash and you're a CEO, Julie?
You look under your floorboards.
God, sounds
and if,
like
if you can't find them under your floorboards or in the purses in your closet, then you be honest and you talk to people. You get the trusted advisors, trusted group that you've had around you, and you let them know what's going on and you create a solution together. You don't just disappear.
You don't disappear. I think that's an important piece. But yeah, I mean, where was there the connection Wednesday night? All we know is that there was a phone call to some customers by the CEO saying everything was okay. But where's the communication been since then? There was just a video to staff on Friday. So, I mean, do you think that there's maybe an out-of-body experience here, Julie? What could have been going on as a CEO, which you are currently? Why would you not be communicating more?
I did wonder about the out-of-body experience because I have always been curious when these people are in these massive, everything comes to a head in the TV version of the movie, the music's getting loud and like the camera's coming closer. Like, do you just go into kind of an out-of-body experience? Like, do you just start to feel like you're not connected to the decisions that you're making? Because I think that would be the only way as a CEO you would make the choice to disappear in the middle of a very hot water session, or you have really crappy comms consulting, which also happens. Because I think what happens is that it can create a bit of a void. If you're not telling your own story, it creates a void for your story to be told for you, which I think is exactly what happened in this situation. But regardless, you have to reach out to people and you have to just start being honest about what's happening. That's not what happened.
There was no connection here. The CEO basically has disappeared with a whole bag of money and leaving a huge amount of unknown to customers and employees and the entire United States market at this time. And so all of the reputation that this individual's built over his career, there's now a vacuum where others are telling his story.
I know. I'm always so fascinated by that. I always wonder, like, years from now, how will he look back? I mean, obviously, we don't know him. We don't actually really know anything about him except for what we've read. But, will he regret that? Will that be the moment that he wished he could have done something differently? Will he have been living in, Nicaragua on his own island, eating papayas all day and not care? Who knows?
I don't think he's got island money, but...
I mean, it's hard to know. I mean, you know more about real estate, but maybe not in Nicaragua than I do. But
it's just such a missed opportunity to grow to his potential of empathizing. The ability to publicly empathize is a unique skill that leaders really need to have. Is there a situation, Julie, when recently you felt the need to show some vulnerability and connect with your staff?
I would say that is something I have a strong suit. In fact, I've been counseled to not be quite so vulnerable with my staff. They don't need to hear everything. Yeah, I think as changes happen and you grow and you expand and you shrink and people come and go and change and clients come and go and change, you always have to really evaluate, like, what is that sweet spot of information that you need to provide to your team? And more than anything, they just have to know, A, that you care, B, you have all the best interests in creating a sustainable organization. That doesn't mean you have only the employee's interest. It doesn't mean you have only the client's interest. It doesn't mean you have only your interest. You have to create that ecosystem of interests. And I think your team has to know that's what you care about. And you have to do that with your actions. So everything in this story, from Becker not talking to his staff and his key constituents, his customers, and honestly looking out for himself, I think he just missed the boat on that.
I couldn't agree more. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. Before we get to our third situation, we're going to take a quick break for this brief ad read for HubSpot. We all know that starting and running a business is hard. However, HubSpot CRM can make it easier, okay? HubSpot's HQ is in Boston, so you got to drop the R and say hard. So say it with me. Business is hard.
Hard?
Something like that. So let's make business easier. Stop searching for spreadsheets. Seriously, don't search for them. Instead, let HubSpot CRM provide real-time data at your fingertips. Now you can sync your teams across the customer journey and track contacts and track customers and send personalized emails in bulk. Now you can scale easier. HubSpot CRM can help you, and it's why more than 150,000 companies already use HubSpot CRM to run their businesses better. Julie, do you use HubSpot?
I do.
Are you and your business focused on your customers?
Yes.
Let's not work our businesses on hard mode. Let's make it easy. Get started for free at HubSpot.com today. And now, back to our episode. And we're back. That lines up. Our break lines up very well with the weekend. Boom, we come back Monday morning. What happens? The Fed's been talking on a Sunday. Can you believe the federal government employees were working on a Sunday? That means stuff's hitting the fan.
It's almost St. Patrick's Day. I can't believe they were willing to do that.
Almost St. Patrick's Day. It's a short week. March Madness starts on Tuesday night and then really gets going on Thursday. Yeah, they're working ahead of time. But comes out Monday morning that now the federal government is going to ensure that all depositors, namely the company Circle, a cryptocurrency exchange that had supposedly $300 million sitting in the bank at SVB, that they're the ones that were probably lobbying harder than everybody else combined. But regardless, any company now over 250K is also going to be able to be made whole. Yay, team. Past the FDIC standard depositor insurance levels. So what does this mean, Julie? Do you think that this shows that the government is truly going out in a way to try to connect with individuals better? Is there really an augmentoring moment here that we can call out that somebody did well with this bailout?
I mean, yes. Thank you, government, for that. I don't know if there really was a choice. I'm sure once they weighed the pros and cons of what would happen if they actually did not do this, it made more sense. But I think outside of just how the government reacted, the fact that between the time of Wednesday and this time of Sunday, there were a lot of groups supporting each other. So whether that was one group of entrepreneurs supporting another group of entrepreneurs, startups being able to support each other with getting payroll, taking care of people reaching out. I know a lot of businesses were asking their customers to help them by buying ahead or buying gift cards or finding ways to help fill their coffers quickly while they were waiting for this money to come through. So I think the fact that a lot of people got together to support each other and take care of each other, whether the government or the banks were the ones to do any kind of help further than that, I thought that was really encouraging.
Isn't this the same system that keeps occurring where we're going to privatize all the profits and then socialize the losses? Like, why should the taxpayers? Yes, I know it's not supposedly coming out of a new fund and the banks have already paid insurance into this fund, but we're taking away this special fund. Why are we going to give this cryptocurrency exchange $299,750,000 more than what they were guaranteed by their standard FDIC? I don't understand.
Well, apparently we really need crypto, Jimmy. So if we don't have that, I don't know how we are all going to
can crypto
move forward with our lives.
I
think that's a much bigger conversation about the value of crypto.
Sure.
I definitely think there were other businesses that really needed that money, but like the wine industry, for example, Jimmy, what happened if they went bankrupt?
Again, but I guess what I'm hearing from you is you're saying that there's an opportunity that this could help reduce further consolidation. It could stop potentially JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley to come in here and purchase Silicon Valley Bank and make the big already bigger, make those big six even.
And really tapped into key emerging technology, emerging markets. I think they probably would love to have the same, to have SVB's client list. So yeah, you could be right. I hadn't thought of that theory, but I think that could be possible, that's what they're, that was part of maybe why all this happened. But it's sticking around, at least for now.
Or is just protect the the small commercial banks. And I do most of my banking with community banks that are primarily still regional. Because even until 5 or 10 years ago, most of these banks weren't even really online all that well. So banking is still very regional and a personal business. And remember, there's over 4,000 banks in the bottom 50% of the assets, as opposed to just the top 6 taking 40% of the assets. So could this give a more resilient economy? Does that make it a more resilient economy if we're going to keep banking supposedly fully on capitalism?
Jimmy, that's a big question. I don't have an answer. We need a banking mentor, and not just Jed grabbing your phone and looking through your apps to see what banks you bank with.
Wait, you have that credit card? How do you deal with that annual fee?
I think more than anything,
mail well. I don't know.
I think more than anything, there is an opportunity for servant leadership in the banking industry. That is what I'm lobbying for, because I did not do as well at macroeconomics at Tufts University as you did, but I do know a lot about people, and I know that the priorities of the banking industry are not their customers and not their clients and not their stakeholders. So is there an opportunity for banks to start to use some of these principles about how they can connect more authentically with others, how they can access the needs of different groups to be able to make decisions, and they can work towards, while a very capitalist, but also a more holistic approach to taking care of others. That's what I lobby for.
I love it. But tell me, why would JP Morgan want to change anything they're doing if they made $42 billion, that's with a B for big, $42 billion in 2022 in net operating income?
But are they happy?
You got to buy a pretty big house to stack that much cash under the floorboards.
Or a lot of purses to put it in. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, I feel like there is, a bit of a crisis happening with the richest of rich people. Obviously, if this guy's on the lam now, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what incentivizes them to want to change or to want to think more broadly. But I think more than anything, I think it's just good questions to be asking, and I think it's good questions to start to pose. Right? We're Eat Well Global. My company is a B Corp, and it has been very exciting to see the burgeoning B Corp community of businesses that are working towards creating more of an impact and working towards good. It's not perfect, but that's not what people are looking to do. And even our previous guest, John Fullerton, I can't remember which episode he was on regenerative economics, and his focus is really on creating systems in the financial markets that bring a regenerative approach that people can absolutely make money. They don't have to make like a human doesn't need more than $1 billion. Like governments need $1 billion, but a human does not need $1 billion.
Have you ever felt it though? It's like the hand of Thanos, I think, or the glove. Maybe until you feel it, if you don't know what it is, you can't afford it.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident a human does not need $1 billion. But yeah, I thought his episode was a really great way to start thinking about this concept. So it's bubbling up, but it's going to take a long time. Maybe Becker is going to get hit on the head with a coconut in Nicaragua on his island, and he's going to change his mind and decide he wants to be good. And he's going to put on his good cape and come back, save the day.
Speaking of coming back, let's summarize. So we see an opportunity in crises like this to really think about how you can better connect with others around you, to find leadership positions among your peers and among key stakeholders, especially when you yourself are in a powerful position within your company, community, etc.
Yes, I agree.
And number 2, Julie?
Number 2 is when you are faced with a very stressful, potentially catastrophic situation, do not go out of body. Come back into your body and show up for others. Be honest, be vulnerable, and deal with the stress. Get a really good comms person. Jimmy, I cannot stress the importance of that. Get a really good comms person to help you be able to communicate effectively to your stakeholders and be able to tell the truth. That's my second takeaway.
You know what happens to bison when a snowstorm is coming?
It would take me at least 10 minutes to come up with an answer to that.
When bison see the storm, they don't run away. They run into it.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And do you know why?
So get yourself a bison. That's what you're trying to say.
Yes, it's great to shield the snow, by the way. They're quite massive. But it's because if you're running into the storm, it is less time inside the storm than if you run away from the storm. Because then you'll be...
That is super profound. And I actually I have a lucky bison that has traveled with me many, many places. And I had not known that about bison. So thank you for that fun fact.
Great. Yeah. All bison. Bison, I think, are like the tokens for communications consultants. Yeah. It's how you all are connected.
That's beautiful. All right. Our third takeaway.
I don't think we got one. Bison.
The third takeaway is when all the shit hits the fan, I think we can swear on this. Basically, you got to show up for each other and take care of each other and not wait for somebody to come bail you out. Which did end up happening, but at the same time, you got to just try to show up for others when circumstances put you in a tough position. Don't be a lone bison.
Don't be a lone bison. Run in groups.
I think that was our last takeaway. So overall, I'd say I don't think this is the last of the topsy-turvy banking moments that we're going to see for a little bit. So I say buckle your seatbelt. Make sure you have your group, connect with others, and leaders, don't run away. Stick around.
Don't run away. And if you're in the banking industry or you work with a lot of banks and you want to learn how to more authentically connect with others and therefore grow to your potential, listen to some recent episodes of AugMentors, a HubSpot Podcast Network podcast, and check out our YouTube channel at AugMentors HQ.
Those are all excellent tips.
AugMentors out.
Wow, you've made it this far, and we thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed our episode and discovered new ways to bring more authentic connection into your mentoring relationships. Want to tell them more, Jimmy?
Be an AugMentor with us. Visit our website for the best interactive mentoring content at augmentors.us. Share our podcast with someone you care about. Like and subscribe. And yes, really, you following our show and writing a review, it's a big deal. Your actions provide us with the resources to continue our undefeated, unencumbered, prize-winning productions. We welcome questions and suggestions via email hi@augmentors.us or on social with our handle at AugMentorsHQ. We are most active and available on LinkedIn and YouTube. Shout out and earnest thank you to our intrepid producer, Erlen Cato. We appreciate you. AugMentors out.
See ya.